Coming up in this edition of Cogeco News, PPE being delivered to Castleholm. A ticket for violating an emergency declaration, and Corey Marks singing for us. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to this Friday edition of Cogeco News. I am Greg Astor-Brooks. Castleholm received a gift of 3,000 medical masks as the demand for PPE, personal protection equipment, remains strong during the coronavirus pandemic. Nipissing MPP Vic Fedeli made the delivery late Thursday afternoon.
These KN95 masks are a donation. They're part of 500,000 masks that Magna, the large auto parts manufacturer, has donated to the province. And they shipped 10,000 of them up to North Nipissing, to the riding of Nipissing, and 3,000 are here today now at Castleholm. Magna has been a remarkable corporate citizen. This was $1 million donation. Magna went out and bought these masks, had them shipped here. And so these 500,000, Don Walker, the CEO of Magna, when he called me a couple of nights ago, he said, and Vic, there's more where those came from. So he's hinted that we'll be receiving further donations from Magna. So we're just so grateful.
And how are we doing with the ramp up of production from businesses converting over to PPE production?
The Ontario Together website, where this is all collected, has been a remarkable success. 17,000 people went on the website and offered their advice and their products. 3,700 companies in Ontario have offered to convert or retool or buy new equipment for the manufacture of PPE. So it's been a spectacular success. And now we're putting $50 million into the Ontario Together Fund for companies to make this a permanent feature in their businesses.
Jamie Lowry is the CEO of Castleholm on Olive Street.
Oh, it's absolutely critical. Everywhere in the healthcare sector, we're looking for some masks and gowns and gloves. So, I mean, you see many drives for this kind of equipment, and so this means a great deal to Castleholm for sure.
How are the staff handling this pandemic?
The staff are actually quite unbelievable. Really, they are working under some tremendously harsh conditions. It's hard on them. It's very hard on families. It's hard on residents because a lot of isolation. They're not seeing their loved ones on a regular basis. But I can say that spirits are good. But it really is an unbelievable challenge for them, and they really should be congratulated for all the work they do.
Could the government of Ontario be planning to loosen somewhat the restrictions that have had a vice-like grip on Ontario businesses the last 6 weeks? Minister of Economic Development and Trade, Minister Vic Fedeli, is on a cabinet committee that will play a big role in that decision. But firstly, we talked to Fedeli about the bleak stories of illness and death from Ontario's long-term care facilities. Fedeli joins us via Skype.
Well, there's been a lot of misleading information, first of all, circulating about the inspections. The ministry has conducted 2,882 inspections in 2019. Every single long-term care home gets inspected at least once a year, and every home receives an inspection. There can be different levels of inspection that they receive, but every single home gets an inspection. Well, the Premier has added $243 million to long-term care homes so that there are emergency medical teams that are put into the homes. No worker can work at more than one home now. That money is also meant to help a worker if they had two jobs at two different places to help top that up. So the Premier calls it putting an iron ring around our long-term care facilities.
Vic, I wanted to ask you this question. My mom's almost 80, your mom's in her 80s. Doug Ford's mother-in-law is in her 90s. She's at a long-term care facility and she has COVID-19. It doesn't hit any closer to home than that, does it?
You know, I think that's was such an emotional day when the Premier announced that his mother-in-law has COVID-19. We've known for a while, and it was just heart-wrenching to watch him. He had to do everything to hold back the tears in talking about his dear mother-in-law.
Let's move on to the issue of loosening restrictions. There's been some talk, I understand, on the taping this week of Queen's Park Report. You were coy about whether or not you're going to specify what businesses will be added to the list that may be open, but it is being looked at by your government.
Yeah, it will be very slow and very incremental. The Premier has been very clear. He says we see a glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel, but I expect you'll see sort of the spigot being turned on very, very marginally in the coming days. But our plan is set on how to phase in these business allowances again, but it will all depend on the chief medical officer of health. We need to hear from health that these different levels and different phases are going to be allowed.
Eric Bouchard, who was on our newscast yesterday, plays a key role in the testing procedures for COVID-19 at the North Bay Regional Health Center. Bouchard helped to construct the testing area and monitors the goings on every day. We continue our Skype conversation with Eric Bouchard.
I think we all learn from experience, and I think this would lead us to, from what we've established right now, I think we are good to go with increased volumes at this point in our assessment center. And we're learning on a daily basis of things that change and how we can adapt so quickly.
I wanted to ask about the numbers apparently have gone down a little bit. They've flattened the curve somewhat. What kind of time frame would you like to see in regards to having these tests not have to happen anymore, besides tomorrow?
Yeah, sooner the better. I'd like to see at least till, starting in June would be nice so that we can start enjoying the weather a little bit more. But I would err on the side of caution that, even if it went into the summer, I think it'd be a lot safer. But I think our community has been fantastic at, maintaining the self-isolation, social distancing, as you can see with our numbers, right? We haven't had many numbers test positive in our community. So, I have to tip my hat off to our community. We're doing a great job and keep up the great work.
A lot of talk across the country about testing kits and maybe the lack of them at the start of this, and PPE getting supplied from all over creation, and companies rejigging what they do to make shields, to make masks for people. Talk about the amount of material you had at the start of this, and was it enough to do your job, or did you need help from outside sources?
I wish I could answer that question, Greg. I don't know what the current supply the initial supply that we had, but I know, like every other hospital, we were critically running short, and we did reach out to our community for some assistance in that.
And speaking of that very thing, ICAMP through Canadore College is also doing its level best to help with PPE production.
By people calling ICAMP and seeing how we can help out. And we first started with headbands and creating a headband and face shield for some people in the medical industry. And so basically, before we were off the phone with our first clients, we were printing, we were designing, our researchers and our engineers were checking out what's been done provincially, what is open source. We have got down to our own style of headband and that. And you know what, everyone in the community that are printing headbands and face shields, that's wonderful. And everyone has their own take on them. At the end of the day, it's protecting our frontline workers, our healthcare providers, our police, our ambulance, all the different people that are doing stuff. The interesting piece that's more from that is now we're getting calls for construction, roofing, companies.
COVID-19 numbers for North Bay Parry Sound. Tested 62, up to 62 tests, 1,316 tested, 16 cases, staying at 16 cases, no new cases. 13 of 14 have been resolved. One is in self-isolation. and 2 are hospitalized. In West Nipissing, 2 people face charges for a February incident where an 11-month-old baby was hospitalized for eating a controlled substance, says the West Nip OPP. The baby was rushed to hospital in North Bay, then sent to a hospital in Ottawa. The infant has made a full recovery. Again, the name's not given after the investigation proved that charges were necessary. 2 people are charged with 2 charges: failure to provide the necessities of life, child, and criminal negligence causing bodily harm. North Bay Police have issued their first ticket in regards to new social distancing and public appearance or working in a public place rules. This happened on Thursday afternoon. Police responded to a report of a person at a park in North Bay who police say was not abiding by the requirement restricting the use of outdoor recreational parks. Police allege that this resulted in the police service's first charge for failing to comply with an order made during a declared emergency. This process involved a police officer issuing a provincial offense notice for this allegation. The fine, a whopping $750 plus additional court costs, bringing the total to $880. When we come back, we continue with our volunteer salutes and a little music after this. Welcome back, everybody. We continue our week-long volunteer salutes because guess what? It's volunteer week. This time we salute Mr. Kevin Smith, a longtime volunteer for Cogeco and Your TV, and he is a natural when co-hosting our cooking show, Now You're Cooking.
In the dictionary, this man's face is right next to it. This is Kevin Smith. He's the incoming president for Rotary Nipissing, an exceptional volunteer, and he's a volunteer here at Your TV, co-host of Now You're Cooking. Kev, thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I'm desperately looking for things to do. So you gave me an opportunity to put something in my day planner. It's great. I've got something to do tomorrow.
Now, your co-host, June de Gagne, on Now You're Cooking. We're flashing forward now to 5 or so years ago when this show got off the ground. Where did this idea come about?
Oh, wow. I'll probably get shot for telling the behind the scenes. We were at a neighborhood party across the street, and June was talking to the program director at the time and indicated she would love to do a cooking show, but she was terrified to do one on her own. And I had discussed this whole me volunteering with it, and that I was friendly with a camera and a mic. And she said, well, why don't you get Kevin to help you out? And of course, I'd had a few beverages. Yeah, that's the word, beverages. And said, sure, I'll help you out on a show. Thinking I would be helping out on one show, just kind of guest appearance yeah, wow. I had signed up for way more than expected, but that's fine too.
You've done well over a dozen shows. Does one particular meal stick out where you're like, we got it right?
Got it right? Oh, that's not the whole intent of the show. The whole intent of the show is the foul-ups. We've done over almost 30 shows now, believe it or not. Yeah, I can't believe you guys haven't canceled us. Heaven knows we appreciate you sticking with us. We've had too many good ones. When I say good ones, to me, the good ones are where we crack up or we lose it or we forget something. So the whole idea is to entertain our audience. There's a million cooking shows out there with professionals that are so much better than we are. So ours is about showing the real scene when cooking, that you make a mistake or you forget something or you crack each other up. This is to us what our audience, we hope, is enjoying, is the camaraderie between us and the inevitable foul-ups.
I think that's what people tune in for. It's the relationship you and June have on air that really comes off really good, and it's really entertaining. Well, Kevin, we very much appreciate all you do at Your TV, and we very much look forward to seeing you back in the kitchen with June on Now You're Cooking.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a pleasure, and we can't wait to be back in front of the cameras. Thank you so much to all of you and the crew there. We wish you the best, and we can't wait to get back together with you to do some more shows. Now you're cooking.
So thank you again.
Are we off?
You are now. What better way to enjoy a Friday night than with some music? Earlier this week, well-known North Bay singer-songwriter and future big star Corey Marks joined us over a video chat. He also played some music for us.
This is a song for anybody that feels a little bit outside of the box and a little bit different. I want y'all to know that it's okay. Just keep doing your thing. And this is for any outlaws and outsiders out there. The song features my good buddy Travis Tritt, Mick Mars of Motley Crue, and Iva Moody of Five Finger Death Punch. It's closing in on top 20 rock in Canada, and we're pushing for a top 10 in the United States, sitting at number 15 right now. Hope you guys are all safe. This is Outlaws and Outsiders. Got a gypsy soul, I'm a rebel and rogue, and I'm always on the run. With a fire inside, I ain't ever gonna die, I'm a locked and loaded gun. When the match is striking the gasoline lights, it's only just begun. One thing I learned is you gonna watch it all burn, but the flame ain't ever done. Raise them up a little high, alive. Outlaws and outsiders. Some call me a renegade, the enemy. Throw your hands up if you feel the same. Oh, living life like this. Just say what you want to say, walk away. I'll stand tall, there's hell to pay. Ain't no power higher than outlaws and outsiders. Yeah. I was born in the dark, it feels hard, and a taste for the other side. I was a crazy ass kid, all the shit I did, I'm amazed that I'm still alive. Yeah, they thought I'd change with a little bit of age, but you know I never will. It takes too much time to walk a straight line, don't have time to keep.
That is Corey Marks, and we hope to have some great news for you. Well, we do have some great news for you down the road. You'll be doing a benefit concert for hospital workers and other first responders a little bit later on. Clarke has weather coming at you right after this. Weather is next.
Weather is brought to you by Canadore College. Great things happen here.
Welcome back to Cogeco News. I'm Clarke Heipel here outside the Nipissing University Founders House residence. I am here for your 5-day weather forecast brought to you by Canadore College. Also here to remind you to wear red on Fridays to show your support for the men and women of the Canadian Armed Forces, and an added significance on this Friday as it's also symbolizing remembering the lives lost in the Nova Scotia shootings last weekend. Now, Nipissing University has partnered with the hospital, the North Bay Regional Health Centre, to offer temporary residence to frontline workers that are dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. 55 units behind me in the Founders House offered to frontline workers, as well as several rooms up the hill at the monastery. Great work and great partnership between the school and the hospital. Well, it's going to be a beautiful end to the work week and a beautiful start to the weekend before precipitation moves in on Sunday. Let's take a look at that 5-day forecast brought to you by Canadore College. Heading overnight on this Friday night, it's going to be a clear sky and a colder low of -6 overnight. Wind chill making it feel a lot colder at -10. Saturday, look at that. Mainly sunny skies, a high of 12 degrees Celsius. And overnight Saturday night, the clouds move in, a low of 0. On Sunday, chance of rain, high 13, low -1. Looking at the new work week now, similar high of 13, mix of sun and cloud, and a low of 0 overnight Monday night. And Tuesday now, high 12, low 4, both above freezing with a mix of sun and cloud. Turning the page back to the almanac, on Thursday we had a high of 6 and a low of minus 12. The normals are 13 and 1 for the high and low this time in April. Now, before we head to our next break, sports is next. A couple of residents of North Bay have approached me and asked me for clarification on the rules surrounding parks, whether or not you're allowed to walk through them, perhaps with your dog or just enjoying an evening stroll. Now, yes, you are allowed inside city parks. However, you are not allowed to congregate in large groups. You can't use the park benches, you can't go on the equipment, and you have to abide by social distancing measures. So parks remain open. However, you must follow certain protocols. Let's head to a quick break. Greg has your sportscast right after this.
Sports is brought to you by Tag Construction for all your construction needs.
Well, there is something actually new to talk about in the world of sports locally, which is great news. The Nipissing University announced its Athletes of the Year and many other award winners as well. But we're going to talk about the two Athletes of the Year briefly. The Jack and Marianne Jones. Jack Jones, what a great guy. Female Athlete of the Year is Emily Drake. She was a Nordic skier. She had her best season as a member of the Nipissing Laker Nordic ski team in 2019-2020. The Al Carfanini, Male Athlete of the Year, Alexander Maycock. He's coming off a great season, obviously, as he continued his strong career, also as a member of the Nipissing Lakers Nordic skiing team. And it's going to be nice to see all the Lakers, well, not just in school, but also on various athletic fields and gyms, I hope this fall. All right, let's get to the COVID resource board before we go on this Friday. Canada.ca/COVID-19, Ontario.ca/coronavirus, Telehealth Ontario 1-866-797-0000 and myhealthunit.ca. That is it for news, weather, and sports for this Friday and for the week here at Cogeco News. Thanks so much for joining us on your TV, and we'll see you again live at 5 Monday for more Cogeco News. Have a great and safe weekend.